In this video, I'm going to give you my initial thoughts on Star Wars Destiny and let you know if I think you should play it. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So if this is your first time here, thanks very much for watching. Why not subscribe and don't forget to click the little bell notification button so you don't miss an upload from me. The hype for Star Wars Legion miniatures game is growing quite big in the BlackJack Legacy household. However, my wife is not a miniatures gamer. She does enjoy playing board games and card games. However, if it's quite a long, kind of drawn out game or a heavy rule set, it's not really her cup of tea. As an example, when we played Zombie Babies for this channel, she really enjoyed it and we played about 4 games straight one after the other. Contrast that with we recently had a game of Silver Tower and I could see that I had lost her about halfway through the first quest. I was looking for a game, something we could play together that would both hit that kind of shorter time scale, easy to learn and easy to play, but then would maybe have a little more depth should I look for it. And that was when I came across Star Wars Destiny from Fantasy Flight Games.
Fulfill your destiny.
It's a CCG, or for those not in the know, a collectible card game. This essentially means that you buy blind purchase booster packs. You open them up and you don't know what you're going to get inside. Now I know I've probably already lost a few of you there and you've already switched off, but for those remaining, please stay with me so I can explain. For us to play at home, the CCG element was interesting, but wasn't really a consideration initially. My plan was to pick up the newly released for Force Friday 2-player starter set of Star Wars Destiny and just play that. If it turned out that we were both enjoying it, we could always pick up a few boosters when we're out shopping at the weekends, as they're only priced around £2.50 in our local gaming store. Or if I enjoyed playing it and wanted to pick up some more stuff, I could do, and it wouldn't essentially change the gaming experience for Mrs. B. Now, I'm not going to take you through an unboxing or a how to play. There's some very good videos on YouTube already that do those. But what I am going to do is give you a little explanation about what you can expect with the 2-player starter box, and then give you mine and her recommendations and our thoughts. Destiny is a 2-player card and dice deck building game. And the 2-player starter set comes with enough equipment to play a starter size game. Now let me explain what I mean by a starter size game. In a full game, you pit your 30 points of characters against your opponent and have a hand, or a deck I should say, of 30 cards. In the starter game, you only have 20 points of characters and you only have 20 cards in your deck. The way the characters are pointed is they have 2 different costs. So here for example, we have Kylo Ren. His card shows 14/17. That means if you take him with 1 dice, he costs 14 points, and if you take him with 2 dice, he costs 17 points. The trouble is the starter set only comes with 1 dice. So if you want to run him with 2 dice at the 17 point level, you're going to have to pick up a second starter set or have a look at one of the online resellers. Now when I initially found this out, I was a little disappointed as it was after I'd already purchased the starter box. However, we unwrapped it, we opened a bottle of wine and we sat down to play a game with the 2 starter decks that were included. Now having these pre-built decks was very useful as neither of us have played a deck building game before, and this way we didn't have to worry what was worth including and what wasn't. We could just break open the box and play it as a starter game or a board game. I played the villains, my wife played the heroes. I'd watched the excellent Fantasy Flight Games video on how to play on their YouTube channel, and I flicked very quickly through the rules that come on 1 sheet of paper with the 2-player starter box. From there we played through, only having to reference the rules once or twice, and she royally kicked my ass. I was already working through in my head what I'd done wrong and what I could do to improve on the next game. But the real winner was the fact that my wife really enjoyed it and she agreed to play again the next evening. The next day I went onto Facebook and asked a few questions in the Destiny Facebook groups, and I found out we'd been playing one of the rules slightly wrong. The next night we lined up again, this time without wine. I again played the villains and my wife the heroes, this time with the correct rule and armed with a little bit more information about how to tackle some of the heroes' tricks. I went on to win the game, but it was a very close contest. So after a couple of games, what's our thoughts and would I recommend it to you? Well, let me start out by saying Destiny is a really easy to play, easy to learn, fun game. We only used the contents from the starter box for our first games and we had a really good time. The second playthrough was much better as we had an idea of what cards to expect to come out of our decks and probably more importantly, what cards to expect to come out of our opponent's decks. Now there are 2 ways to win the game. One is you can destroy your opponent's characters, all 20 points in the starter box or 30 points in the full game, or you can get them to burn through all of their deck of cards, Once they're out of cards, they lose the game. You can build your deck very defensively, which allows you to survive a lot of attacks and your opponent to burn through their cards very quickly and you try and win the game that way. Or you can build a very aggressive deck and try and deal as much damage to your opponent as quickly as possible. Now the 2-player starter box doesn't give you a lot of room to kind of manipulate your deck or to build a deck this way. However, if you do get into this game a little deeper, the options are vast. Playtime runs at about an hour a game, which is excellent for me and my wife as she's not really into these 2 to 3 hour games. And I felt that the dice mechanic really did bring in an interesting way of leveling things out. Now on our second run through, even though I had slightly more tactical knowledge than my wife at this point, it never felt that I overpowered her. The dice mechanic still brought in an element of randomness, as you could only really carry out your plan if the dice fell your way. Now the cards in your hand and the cards in your deck do allow you to manipulate those dice, either your own or your opponent's, but knowing when to play them or when to burn a card to re-roll your dice just gives an extra level of decision making that doesn't bring in complexity but just helps smooth out the randomness of dice rolls. The starter set feels pretty balanced and at no point did either of us feel that we were overpowered by the other. So the $1 million question, would I recommend this game to you? Well, as Uncle Atom from Tabletop Minions would say, that depends. If you're a Star Wars fan, it definitely ticks a box. The ability to play characters in the Star Wars universe and equip them with lightsabers and force abilities really does feel very thematic and feels very Star Wars. If you're into card games, then it's another thumbs up. Only having a deck of 30 cards as opposed to Magic the Gathering 60 cards means that it doesn't take quite so much time to build a deck or to collect enough cards to build a deck, and it also means that you know that the important cards are in there and they're coming out relatively quickly. You also play with a hand of 5 cards. You can play these through your turn and at the end of that round you then replenish your hand back to 5, so you always have options. If you wanted to buy this as a standalone 2-player game, I'd 100% recommend it. We both had fun playing it. In the UK it costs around £30 recommended price. You can obviously get discount online, and in the US it also retails for around $30 with discounts available. I don't think this is too much to pay for a standalone 2-player game, and isn't a bad entry point into a new collectible card game series. However, if you're looking to get into this slightly less casually or even competitively, be prepared to spend some money. You're initially going to have to boost your deck from 20 cards to 30, and to get the more powerful cards that you may need to play competitively is going to cost you a little more either in boosters or from online sellers. One option is to get a friend to also buy the 2-player starter set, and then split the heroes and villains cards between you. This way your Kylo Ren gets his 2 dice, and any cards you have as doubles that aren't unique within the game means you can have them in your deck of 30, as the game allows you to have 2 of each particular card. Me personally, I fell for this game in a big way, and I've since gone out and purchased another starter set and some of the original starter decks as well. Some cards are villains, some cards are heroes, and some are classed as neutral. The neutral cards can be played by either heroes or villains. This way now we have a good sized card pool and we can move our game up to the 30 point level and 30 card level. I can see I'm going to get pulled into this game big style. It's a perfect game to play when away at tournaments or away at conventions, and it means I can also play something when I'm concentrating on painting or building miniatures for a miniatures game. Now it won't replace miniatures gaming for me, however it's a nice change of pace. It's also perfect for when I'm travelling, as it's really easy just to throw a deck in my overnight bag and look for a local gaming club. The blind purchase boosters doesn't really bother me too much actually. When I was a kid I was really into the Panini football stickers and collecting those with my friends. I used to love to open in those blind packs and see a big shiny club badge inside and then being able to trade them in the playground. The biggest difference with this now is that I don't have to wait for my parents to give me some pocket money to buy more, and my playground is now the internet or my local gaming clubs. If you'd like to see some more Star Wars Destiny content on this channel, then please let me know down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.